This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to the Royals POSTCAST, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chance Liebau, and I'm here to bring you reaction to every single Royals game the rest of the way, day or night. We're here in the middle of the day, middle of the workday for a lot of people. I know that I am I am doing my best to focus on this and also my current full-time job right now, and balancing the two has not been a cup of tea, but we are here to provide your reaction every step of the way to the Royals. You can follow me on Twitter at Chance Liebau, and if you can't make a show live, don't worry. These episodes will be uploaded for you to listen to on demand wherever you get your podcast. That is Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. We are on Odyssey, Google Podcasts. All those have us on the daily. Before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on our notifications so that you get an alert whenever we go live or when Jack posts a regularly scheduled Locked On Royals video. Thanks so much for joining the show. Feel free to join the live chat and let me know your thoughts on the game, and maybe I will respond to your comments. Jason Clark has summed up my thoughts about as well as anybody can. When you think it can't get worse, it does. The Royals were terrible today. Once again, it'll be a shortened show today because obviously I have to go back to my full-time job. And they didn't do anything today that they didn't show us for pretty much the entire season so far. So with that, we will get right into it with here is what you'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
The offense was really bad once again. They just didn't do enough. And when I say didn't do enough, they didn't do anything really against Shane Baz, who I think Shane Baz is a fine pitcher. I tried calling Taj Bradley a good pitcher the other day, and looking at some of his peripherals really wasn't great. So I kind of back off on that take. Drew Rasmussen shoved it up there, you know what, yesterday. And then Shane Baz did even more today. The Royals lineup shifted a little bit. They made some adjustments. I talked about it on Twitter. They moved Salvi out of the order. You got the full off day because they're going to have a big series with the Dodgers coming up. They moved up Lofton a ton. They moved him up to the 5-hole. They moved Kaggs, or at least Kaggs stayed in the 6-hole. Then, obviously, Freddie batted. No Isbell in center. Isbell's been horrible recently. Vinny's been bad recently. They moved him up. They flopped him and Garcia. So, obviously, the moves were there. They made different moves. They made a push. They are trying. At least Matt Quatraro in this unit is trying. They are trying, but that is about all they are doing. This offense sucks, and it continues to suck. Shane Baz went, I can't remember what the final number was in terms of how many up and down he went, but after the double by Isbell to lead off the game, and we feel like here's some positive momentum. 18 of the next, he retired 18 of 19. He retired 18 straight. And so from that point on, and I'm not a huge Shane Baz fan. I think he's fine. We talked about it yesterday. The Royals struggles with fastballs. They have not hit them well all year. They continue to not hit them well, especially the high-velocity fastballs. And guess who's coming to town this weekend? A team that is full of flamethrowers. So it's not going to get any better. So they really struggled today hitting the fastball, Shane Baz. A lot of early outs. I mean, he went 8 shutout innings and didn't even throw 100 pitches. This Royals team is a feast for starting pitchers to get early outs and early counts because there's not really a part of the zone or hell, even a part of the lineup that you're really looking at to try and stay away from. The Royals aren't hitting really any pitches well at any part of the zone, especially middle. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are advocates for, well, they got to attack early. They're getting fastballs down the middle early. Well, guess what? They aren't hitting those pitches early. So then they're letting those pitches go by. People get upset. They're getting into 1 and 2 counts. They're getting behind in counts because pitchers are attacking them right away. And if you've watched Moneyball, like I have millions of times, you know that a batting average compared to a 1-0 count, compared to an 0-1 count, there's about 200 points of difference between those two. So from that standpoint, it is really tough for a batter that the Royals have. They are really struggling at letting pitches go by, letting strike one go by. Then they get themselves in a hole because they're down 0-1 in a count, and then you really have to dig yourself out of it. Then you're playing catch-up. You're trying to tread water in the deep end with sharks swimming around. So pitchers are attacking the Royals early. They're getting, I think, I'm going to look it up at some point and I'll tweet it out at Chance Liebau on Twitter. You can see it right underneath my name. But they are getting a lot of early strikes, strike one a lot of the time, because they know that the Royals are terrible strike one hitters and that anybody that throws strike one is got more of a chance to be successful on the mound. Strike one is the best pitch in baseball. You ask anybody, best pitch in baseball is strike one. So they're attacking them early because they can't hit early pitches. And then also they can't hit after the fact. So you're getting way behind in the count. You're having to dig yourself out of holes. You can say all you want. They got to be patient. They got to be patient. But at some point, they just have to start hitting hittable pitches. And they're not doing that right now. I'm not sure if it's an approach thing or if it's just the fact that they don't have the dudes in that lineup to be able to combat a lineup that really has a ton of holes in it right now. Jack Caglione is currently a hole in the lineup. Bobby Witt Jr., hole in the lineup. Vinny Pasquantino, hole in the lineup. Those are three guys right there that you relied on 2 weeks ago in the St. Louis series to really kickstart this offense into high gear. And they aren't hitting for jack squat. The current home run leader at Kauffman Stadium right now is still Jordan Beck, and it is June 26th. We are almost to the All-Star break, and there is no Royal that has out-homered a Rockies player, the worst team in baseball, in pacing to be the worst team in baseball history. The Royals still don't have a player that has hit more home runs at Kauffman Stadium than Jordan Beck. That is a massive issue, and you can't just go out and get power. It has to be – it's hard to find at some point, and I think this is Alec Zumwalt's last game. I think that this was the rock bottom. I find it very hard to believe that Alec Zumwalt will be the hitting coach for the Royals going into the series against the Dodgers. It might be a hot take. It might be just me overreacting a bit, but I more and more have doubts that Alec Zumwalt he's outstayed his welcome. This is, I think, his last series as the Royals Royals hitting coach. For all the people calling for Matt Quattro's job, why? What is he doing that you could do better? What is he doing that has not worked for this team? Because right now it's on the players to perform. He can't call the touchdown play from the lineup card. He can't put guys in good positions on the bases because they have to hit their ways onto the bases. Matt Quatraro is a good manager. He's got a bad team in front of him. That's the reality. So that's my opinion. I don't think Matt Quatraro is a bad manager at all. He's a heck of a lot better than Mike Matheny. He might not be Ned Yost, but Ned Yost, when he didn't have the best 7-8-9 bullpen combo in baseball, he was a pretty mediocre manager, kind of like what we've seen from Matt Quatraro. So that's my opinion. Matt Quatraro hasn't done anything. And Jalen Johnson, thank you so much for saying it. Hasn't done anything but manage, and that's not his fault, and we have crap players. Could not say it any better myself. This team is not good, and Matt Quatraro is not the reason that they are sitting 5 games under 500. But the best part of it is they're not out of a playoff spot. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. I am hating watching this team when they're trying to win. Boy, I would hate to watch this team in September with nothing to play for, because that would be really rough for my emotions. So those are my takes in the kind of what you'll be talking about. But when we come back, we'll kind of talk about Michael Lorenzen's outing and what we saw from him today and what we see from him going forward as one of the Royals' top trade targets heading into the final month before the trade deadline. That's coming up next on the Royals Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your order. And summer sports are in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You you're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Whether I'm placing a same game parlay or watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, let's talk about Michael Lorenzen. Very similar outing for Lorenzen that we've seen from the other Royals starters in this series. Really unspectacular. The stuff wasn't there. Command wasn't there, but he was able to grit his teeth and get through 5 2/3. And I think that Michael Lorenzen is going to be a valuable trade piece for this Royals team. I'd probably put him at number 2 behind Seth Lugo, especially considering all the guys that Royals have at AAA. You know, Luinder Avila. Some of those guys are going to get called up at some point. And so Michael Lorenzen becomes more expendable, especially if Cole Reagans returns at some point this season. So I think that a guy like a Michael Lorenzen could be really good trade bait as a back end reliever, a long reliever, spot starter, kind of like the Royals acquired him for this season. Last year they traded him for Walter Pennington, who was pretty much a quadruple A guy, nothing spectacular, but at the same time he's a guy that can pitch big league innings, and some teams just need that. So I think Michael Lorenzen ends up being a trade piece for this Royals team. I think he could probably net you a 25 to 30 on a team's top prospects. But I don't think you're going to get a haul. And I had this discussion with one of my colleagues, Kyle Collier on Twitter, who is a great follow on Twitter. Love Kyle. He's got great movie takes. So go shoot him a follower on Twitter, Kyle Collier, up at 810. But he was talking about selling off on Lugo and capitalizing on getting this farm system right. Other than the Nationals, who did a great job in the Juan Soto trade, other than the Nationals, there's not a whole lot of teams that have been able to flip a rental guy, and the Nationals wasn't even a rental guy. It was Juan Soto, a generational 24-year-old bat. But it's really hard to flip a rental 35-year-old starting pitcher like Seth Lugo into a farm system overhaul. You know what I mean? It's a little bit difficult to see that netting a huge return. If you look back at what the Tigers did last year with Jack Flaherty, they got their big league shortstop in Trey Sweeney, who was kind of in the 10 to 15 range in their top prospects. And the Dodgers are much more willing to give up on their prospects because they can spend a lot of money. A guy like Seth Lugo isn't going to net you multiple top 5 prospects out of a system. I guess you could look at what the White Sox did a couple years ago, but they capitalized on the Angels' desperation. So I honestly don't know what the Royals are going to do. I would assume that this homestand is going to encourage them to sell. And I think that Lugo and Lorenzen are 2 guys that they probably move off on, because I think you hope at some point Cole Reagans comes back. And then you're maybe holding out hope that maybe a Daniel Lynch can make some spot starts. Luinder Avila can come up and make some appearances. But I think the Royals have a lot of pitching depth right now in the organization, especially in the upper levels. And a guy like Michael Lorenzen and a guy like Seth Lugo are definitely more valuable to another team than they are for a Royals team that cannot hit anything right now. So as good as the pitching staff has been, the offense continues to sputter, and it's going to be an even tougher weekend because the Dodgers are in town. And God knows what the Dodgers are going to do to this poor Royals team. Like I said, nightmare scenario for this weekend is the Royals take 2 of 3, and they think that everything is just fine. That is the nightmare situation for the Royals this weekend against the Dodgers. But I appreciate you guys all for tuning in. This was actually really good feedback. A lot of listeners today, even though it's a little bit of a different setup. You can see me here in my office at ESPN Wichita. So it's a little bit different of a setup today, but appreciate you guys for tuning in on your workday, or whether you're retired or in school. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll have more of these episodes coming out after every Royals game this year. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow for Royals and Dodgers. I'm Chance Liebau. This has been the Locked On Royals Postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.